Hi guys. Okay, I'll finish reading one more of these and then I'll set you guys off on your own. All right, so we're going to pick up at the neighbors showed one another. So the neighbors showed one another with their thumbs how big the pearl was. And they made little caressing gestures to show how lovely it was. From now on, they would watch Kino and Juana very closely to see whether riches turned their heads, as riches turned all people's heads. Everyone knew why the doctor had come. He was not good at dissembling, and he was very well understood. Out in the estuary, a tight-woven school of small fishes glittered and broke water to escape a school of great fishes that drove in to eat them. And in the house, the people could hear the swish of the small ones and the bouncing splash of the great ones as the slaughter went on. The dampness arose out of the gulf and was deposited on bushes and cacti and on little trees and salty drops. And the night mice crept about on the ground, and the little night hawks haunted them silently. The skinny black puppy with flame spots over his eyes came to Kino's door and looked in. He nearly shook his hind quarters loose when Kino glanced up at him, and he subsided when Kino looked away. The puppy did not enter the house, but he watched with frantic interest while Kino ate his bean from the little pottery dish and wiped it clean with a corn cake and ate the corn cake and washed the whole down with a drink of pulque. Kino was finished and was rolling a cigarette when Juana spoke sharply. Kino! He glanced at her and then got up and went quickly to her, for he saw fright in her eyes. He stood over her, looking down, but the light was very dim. He kicked a pile of twigs into the fire hole to make a blaze, and then he could see the face of Coyotito. The baby's face was flushed, and his throat was working with a little thick drool of saliva issued from his lips. The spasm of stomach muscles began, and the baby was very sick. Kino knelt beside his wife. So the doctor knew, he said. But he said it for himself as well as for his wife, for his mind was hard and suspicious, and he was remembering the white powder. Juana rocked from side to side and moaned out the little song of the family, as though it could ward off the danger, and the baby vomited and writhed in her arms. Now uncertainty was in Kino, and the music of evil throbbed in his head. It nearly drove Juana's song out. The doctor finished his chocolate and nibbled the little fallen pieces of sweet cake. He brushed his fingers out on a napkin, looked at his watch, arose and took up his little bag. The news of the baby's illness traveled quickly among the brush houses, for sickness is second only to hunger as the enemy of poor people. What do you think that means? And some said softly, luck, you see, brings bitter friends. And they nodded and got up to go to Kino's house. The neighbors scuttled with covered noses through the dark until they crowded into Kino's house again. They stood and gazed, and they made little comments on the sadness that this shouldn't happen at this time of joy. And they said, all things are in God's hands. The old woman squatted down beside Juana to try to give her aid if they could and comfort if they could not. Then the doctor hurried in, followed by his man. He scattered the old woman like chickens. He took the baby and examined it and felt its head. The poison, it has worked, he said. I think I can defeat it. I will try my best. He asked for water, and in the cup of it, he put 3 drops of ammonia. And he pried open the baby's mouth and poured it down. The baby spluttered and screeched until the treatment, and Juana watched him with haunted eyes. The doctor spoke a little as he worked. It is lucky that I know about the poison of the scorpion. Otherwise, and he shrugged to show what could have happened. But Kino was suspicious, and he could not take his eyes from the doctor's open bag and from the bottle of white powder there. Gradually the spasm subsided, and the baby relaxed until the doctor's hands. And then Coyotito sighed deeply and went to sleep, for he was very tired with vomiting. So what do we think happened here? What do you think that pill was that the doctor gave little baby Coyotito an hour ago? And then what do you think happened and why the doctor came back and gave him something again? Do you think the doctor did anything intentional to make little baby Coyotito sick? Do you think that Kino might be on to the doctor about something? The doctor put the baby in Juana's arms. "He will get well now," he said. "I have won the fight." And Juana looked at him with adoration. The doctor was closing his bag now. He said, "When do you think you can pay this bill?" He said it even kindly. "When I have sold my pearl, I will pay you," Kino said. "You have a pearl? A good pearl?" the doctor asked with interest. And then the chorus of neighbors broke in. "He has found the pearl of the world," they cried. And they joined forefinger with thumb to show how great the pearl was. "Kino will be a rich man," they clamored. "It is the pearl, such as one has never seen." The doctor looked surprised. "I have not heard of it. Do you keep this pearl in a safe place? Perhaps you would like me to put it in my safe." Kino's eyes were hooded now. His cheeks were drawn taut. "I have it secure," he said. "Tomorrow I will sell it, and then I will pay you." The doctor shrugged, and his wet eyes never left Kino's eyes. He knew the pearl would be buried in the house, and he thought Kino might look toward the place where it was buried. "It would be a shame to have it stolen before you could sell it," the doctor said, and he saw Kino's eyes flick involuntarily to the floor near the side post of the brush house. When the doctor had gone and all neighbors had reluctantly turned to their houses, Kino squatted beside the little glowing coals in the fire hole and listened to the night noise. The soft sweep of the light waves on the shore and the distant barking of dogs. The creeping of the breeze through the brush house roof and the soft speech of his neighbors in their houses in the village. For these people do not sleep soundly all day. They awaken at intervals and talk a little and then go to sleep again. And after a while, Kino got up and went to the door of his house. He smelled the breeze and he listened for any foreign sound of secrecy or creeping. And his eyes searched the darkness, for the music of evil was sounding in his head. And he was fierce and afraid. Why do we think he might be afraid? What did we think it might happen? Why was the doctor asking him about the pearl? Why did the doctor pretend he didn't know about the pearl? What do you think's going on here? After he had probed the night with his senses, he went to the place by the side post where the pearl was buried, and he dug it up and brought it to his sleeping mat. And under his sleeping mat, he dug another little hole in the dirt and buried his pearl and covered it up again. And Juana, sitting by the fire hole, watching him with questioning eyes. And when he had buried the pearl, she asked, "Who do you fear?" Kino searched for a true answer, and at last he said, "Everyone." And he could feel a shell of hardness drawing over him. After a while, they lay down together on the sleeping mat, and Juana did not put the baby in his box tonight, but cradled him in her arms and covered his face with the head shawl, and the last light went out of the embers in the fire hole. All right, I think we should stop right here and go to our charts for a moment, and go ahead and pause the video and add anything that you think you could add to the chart by now for chapter 3. All right. Going to go ahead and let you guys finish reading chapter 3 on your own. make sure you go into the interactive workbook and you fill out the final slide for chapter 3. And this is all going to be due on Monday. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for Friday. We're going to go over our FSQ tomorrow and look at some of the questions. And then you'll have all weekend. And then come Monday, we'll talk about chapters 1 through 3, and we'll start reading chapter 4. All right. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.